This is the last session of our series, Success Equals. We've talked about success equals God's will, God's way, God's time for God's glory. And so we're wrapping it up with for God's glory here today. Matthew chapter 5 verse 16 says, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." So we know that doing the will of God, people are going to see us. It's our works that are going to glorify God. However, we do need to realize that our works and everything that we do and accomplish for God, it needs to be for His edification and for His glory. All right, so while doing the will of God, people see us, but our ultimate goal should be giving our lives to benefit God's kingdom. My grandpa Davis, George Davis Sr., used to say, "A man wrapped up in himself makes an awful small package." And you know, that has a lot of truth to it. One thing that I've realized, I've got a really nice tool here. All right, it's a Makita drill, a little impact drill. I love these drills. These are my favorite screw guns and screw set. And I'm really a big believer in these. However, if I set this thing down, it ain't going to do nothing. It's only whenever it gets in my hands can it do anything. I can take it, I can drill, I can build a house at the end of it. I can set that tool out there and I can say, "Look at that Makita drill. It just built that house." That'd be crazy for me to say that. Because it's just a tool. However, when you put it in the right hands, it can see great things done. And that's what we have to understand. We are just a tool. And anything that's accomplished through us is because we got in God's hands. All right, so keeping that in mind, we need to understand that we're nothing without Him. But with God, we can see all things done. In the conclusion of this series, I'd like to close with this. To know the will of God is the greatest knowledge. To find the will of God is the greatest discovery. And to do the will of God is the greatest achievement. One of the greatest ways that I know how to be in God's will and God's time, God's way for God's glory, is to just simply say, "I will. Lord, whatever you want me to do, I will." This morning I wake up, kneel down on my knees, and will pray. Wherever you lead me, I will go. Whatever you want me to say, I will say it. If we will live our lives like that, doing God's will, God's way, God's time for God's glory, that is success.